Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, Championship Day edition. We're at Challenge Atlantic City, and our fourth place finisher today from New Zealand, Mr. Dylan McNeice. And Dylan, I know fourth place is not what you wanted, right? But when you look at the race, you led out of the water. You led for the first 56 of the bike, so you won the first half of the race, right?
Yeah, if only that meant something, that'd be great. I actually felt quite good out there, but it got to the point where I realised I was, a little bit underdone and maybe definitely a little bit overweight, and that was kind of like we were just discussing. I want to do well at Lake Tahoe, and for me to really peak here was going to be hard. Only deciding to race this 5 weeks out.
Sure.
But at the same time, I had always had Tahoe on my mind, so I went out there today and tried to just really race hard and give it my best. And,
sure.
I mean, I gave it everything I had, and I was shuffling from 21k on the run or halfway on the run, and it was a long day. But I mean, full credit to Freddie. He's been on the up and up, and he fully deserved that win. And Scott was running like a gazelle for a bit there.
I saw that, and I'm like, he's gonna. And then he caught him, and they sort of went back and forth a little bit, and then it was over.
I thought Scott was going to run away and run 240 or something, but Freddie, geez, he just keeps going and going and going. He's like an Energizer bunny, And I can't remember the guy who got third, but he rode really well, and then he toughed out the run too, and held on for third. And I did everything I could to get him, but I just couldn't get there.
You mentioned that when you're from New Zealand, a lot of times, I remember Cam Brown, he'd be ready for Ironman New Zealand. That's an important race for the Germans. It's Frankfurt or Roth. So when you're ready that early in the year, if you're racing in March and you raced Wanaka and you raced Taiwan, you won both of them. So you're ready early in the season, and you're trying to also be ready for September for Ironman Lake Tahoe. It's really difficult to peak 3 times in 1 year.
Yeah, I think 3 is about the most, So something had to give, and unfortunately, it seemed to be today. But Wanaka for me was like a dream day. I kind of crossed the finishing line and didn't really feel like I'd race. I was just in complete control.
Right.
And then Taiwan, I was lucky to win. I had a good day, but man, I struggled, and I struggled at the end, and Freddie was only 38 seconds behind me, I think.
Yeah.
And today, he overtook me, and I've sort of been on that steady downhill. But I learned some good lessons last year with 4 races and through Roth and stuff. And
what'd you learn?
Well, I learned that you can't peak for 4, that's for sure. And you have to spread your season out, as evenly as you can. And I think I went better today, definitely, than I did on Roth last year, just because I've planned better, and I gave this race a little bit less and relied a little bit more on what I'd done for Wanaka and Taiwan. And I think it came through, but those guys were fit out there and going well, and they had great races.
What's tough about a race like this is there's really no shade. I was like looking at that, and I'm like, oh my God, there's no trees anywhere. I mean, you are basically just baking. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention it, the only shade was the shade of this building running through there, but
there's nothing.
It wasn't.
I
don't know.
How was it out on the bike? Was it?
The bike, there was hot parts. The bike, you rode down the expressway 30 miles, did the couple of loops, came back on the expressway, and we had a headwind that last 30 miles, and God, that just killed me. Like, I blew to smithereens and day over. And
I heard that was like a Kona type of wind coming back. It was really strong.
It was really weird. It was you looked at the trees and it didn't look like there was any wind, but then it was just a stiff breeze in your face that you just were working so hard and going nowhere. And that last 30 miles just took forever. But in terms of it was just the sun was constant. It wasn't really hot, but there was just nowhere to get away from it. Yeah.
So one of the things with triathlon, a lot of times you're racing, you're usually crowded to finish, but there's also, besides mom and dad and a couple of people, usually out in the middle of the bike or the run, there's nobody out there. Running on the boardwalk is, you're doing multiple laps, which is awesome, and you've got people everywhere. Now, they're not necessarily triathlon fans yet, but did you like that, running in front of crowds?
I think I've got a real goodie here. I think it's gonna turn into a great race. Like the swim was it was interesting. It was like a Y shape, and it was.
And you had a little walking, a little hiking, a little hiker bike.
Yeah, but it was different, And I thought, it was a good swim in a way because it was a lot different, and the bike was actually a really nice course. Those loops were beautiful. The roads were amazing. They talked about that rough patch.
Wasn't that bad?
You're
the roads in New Zealand.
And coming from earthquake, country was where Christchurch has had those big earthquakes, and I was just like, this is a dream.
It was nice.
And then the boardwalk run, it was awesome. There's a few people we had to dodge from time to time, but as the race went on, people got more aware, and they got out of your way and cheering you on, and I think it's going to be a great race in a few years.
Well, anytime you have an inaugural race, you never know what's going on out there, right? You don't really know what the parking is going to be like in the morning, what type of traffic controls are going to be, and it just seemed that the day went pretty smooth, right? And people along the boardwalk here who didn't know how to spell the word triathlon, within a little bit were up against the fence cheering.
Yeah. Full credit to the race directors. It was there was nothing that I could pick that was. There was nothing wrong with the race. It was run immaculately and put together really well, and it's going to be a great one in a few years.
So you're going to go back to New Zealand and train in the winter, and you haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, so I trained in the winter basically for Atlantic City, and it wasn't too bad. It was just rug up and keep warm. It wasn't that wet, so that was nice. But I'll only be home for about a month, and then head to Santa Cruz with Bevan Doherty for a few weeks.
Double Olympic medalist.
Absolute legend. And I'll be there for a few weeks, and then head to Boulder to get some altitude in before Lake Tahoe.
So, and you like the cold, because we talked about it. Lake Tahoe last year was 27 degrees, people brushing ice off their bike seat. You're bring it on. Let me, the colder the better.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty cold. But I guess I'm a bigger body, so I can handle the cold a little bit better than some others. But maybe 40 degrees would be nice. I don't know about 27.
Yeah. So you're like, hey, Scott and Freddie, why don't you guys come to Tahoe?
Rematch.
There'll be like icicles on the side of the road going, what the heck was that? So does it surprise you sometimes, as a guy, as a New Zealander who's got, legends like Cam Brown and Bevan Doherty, guys like that who, are Olympians hey, Bevan Doherty, hey, why don't you come train with me in Santa Cruz? To actually have a guy like that who's open enough to say, why don't you come train with me?
Yeah, it's awesome. I come from a swimming background, and when I was swimming, if anyone ever asked me, why did you give up? And I would say, there was no pathway for me. We had no good swimmers at that time, and there was no one for me to aspire to, there's nobody
to follow, really.
It didn't seem possible to be the best in the world, but with triathlon, ever since I started, we've had, two Olympic medalists, and
Hamish Carter,
and Cam Brown and Terenzo, and plenty of others. So, it's awesome that our young guys can look up and see that they can be the best in the world.
Right.
But then it's even better when they say, hey, come train with us.
I love that. That's the coolest thing. So now you'll go back and just basically head down until Tahoe?
I got 2 weeks off. I need it, definitely.
Yeah.
Just refresh, drink some beers, eat some pizza, put on a bit of weight, and then hope that everything comes together perfectly for Tahoe. And 10 weeks for me seems to be that ideal build-up time. So, fingers crossed it'll all work out.
So are you a self-coach guy, or do you have somebody?
I have a coach called Tim Brazier. He's part of the New Zealand triathlon system. He's one of the development coaches. And, I've worked with him for about, I think, 4 years now, maybe.
Okay.
And
each other
so we've got a great relationship, and I can pretty much write the program, and he'll double check and say, yes, sweet. I only write it so that I can schedule my day off when I want to have my day off.
Love
kind of
that.
thing. So it works really well.
Dylan, thanks so much for taking time, man. And
Thanks,
fourth place, nothing wrong with that. I love the fact that people don't seem to be limping like you normally see them, and I think that has something to do with that boards out there.
Yeah, I think so. They said it was going to be a really fast course, but that wind definitely zapped some time, or put some time into everyone. And the boardwalk, I think Freddie loved the boardwalk because he's so light.
Yeah, just floating.
The bigger guys maybe lost a bit of energy and the sponginess. It was honestly a great race, and I really look forward to seeing how much it grows in the next few years.
Well, best of luck in Tahoe. Bring your warmies. You're going to need them.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob.
Again, we're at Challenge Atlantic City. Fourth place finisher Dylan McNeice from beautiful New Zealand, home of Rod Dixon, home of John Walker, home of the greatest athletes on the planet, and way better than anybody from Australia. This is Breakfast with Bob Championship Edition. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.
Oh, when the sun beats down and burns the tar up on the roof,